Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to share a layout here in my Square Dylusions journal using a background there that you see that I already created using up some leftover paints from a previous project. Now, whenever I do an art journal layout, I do not waste any leftover product. I will go ahead and add any that's left over to a clean page in my journals, and I begin a new background for a future layout such as this one, or I add to a background that was already started and I just keep adding and adding and adding until I feel that it's ready to be worked on. And I sometimes share when I do that in my videos. So here I started off with that background and I'm gonna add a little bit more to it just to add a little bit more dimension and texture to the background before I start adding some stencil work. So there I added in some silver paint that is from Dina Wakley, and I'll go ahead and link everything I used today in my description box below. And I'm also going to go ahead and add some white paint using my brayer. So next up, I'm gonna add some stenciling to my background. And I'm using this really busy stencil here from the Crafters Workshop. And you can see there's several different designs on there. And once I use this together with the black acrylic paint, it's gonna end up to be a really bold and busy background. But with the focal point I added here and my title, I think everything balanced out really nice in the end. So stick around. It might look a little shocking right now once I reveal the background, but it all comes together in the end. So here I'm just using my finger dauber and my black acrylic paint. In some areas it's gonna be darker than another, but that's exactly how I wanted it to be. I started off at one point and just faded out with whatever was left on the dauber towards the edges. And I'm going to continue here on the left page, and I'll move my stencil over, sort of line it up a tiny bit. I wasn't too concerned about lining it up exactly, and I'm going to continue stenciling on the right page. So now I'm just adding in a border using some of that black acrylic paint, and next I'll add my focal points. Now with this really busy background, I decided to go with the silhouette stencil here, and this is from Dylusions, and I am going to use the one, I believe this one is called Otis, and I will fill it in with some of that black acrylic paint. Once I'm done adding in the boy, I'll add in the little dog as well. So you can see I am adding a second layer to my border, and now I'll go ahead and just fade out my background a tiny bit using some gesso, some white gesso, and just using my finger to smear it across the background. And I do not go across the entire background, just in certain areas and fading it out just a tiny bit. It was just standing out a bit too much, and I wanted to make sure that my focal points was not competing with the background too much. So here I'm just gonna go over parts of the background with my finger and being very careful not to get it on the silhouettes. And if I do, I did use a moist baby wipes, and that helped remove whatever gesso I got on the black parts of the silhouette there. Now I did go in with my stencil and outline my silhouette. You'll see that right now. And this is a white gel pen that I'm using. I just lined up my stencil once again with the boy, and I also do it with the dog. And I'm gonna go ahead and trace all the way around using that white gel pen, and that just helps outline the boy and help my focal point stand out a little bit more against that background. So here I pulled out my Nuvo glitter. I cannot remember the color that I'm using, but I'll go ahead and add that information in my description box. And I outlined a tiara on the dog's head, and I also outlined some shoes on his feet. I am going to give him some sparkly shoes and a sparkly tiara using this glitter from Nuvo. Now, you can see I did use some liquid glass from Close to My Heart as adhesive to adhere the glitter. I pressed it in with my fingers there, and then I'm going to remove the excess. And later on, I will go back and seal in the glitter. That way, once you open and close the book, you run your hand across the page, the glitter is not going to get everywhere. So now this goes with my title, which says, with sparkly shoes and a tiara, you can conquer the world. And I started off thinking I'm going to go ahead and stamp out the entire title, but it was just too much. So I just used some of the words that I stamped out. I'm going to cut them apart, add them with some liquid adhesive to my background. I actually used the matte gel medium to adhere those. And I'm going to use my Faber-Castell marker here, big brush marker, to handwrite the rest of my title. And I am not super crazy about my handwriting, but I just went ahead and added it in. So you can see this is a fun, playful layout, really silly. The boy is basically telling the dog, with sparkly shoes and a tiara, you can conquer the world, and the dog is wearing his tiara and sparkly shoes. And that gave it a little bit more of that little pop of blue there against all of that black and white that's on the page. Now I will go in and color in my words, the stamped words. I am going to use a Nuvo marker and color in all of the white that you see around the words. And I think it looks a lot better and gave it a little bit more blue on my background there. And right there you saw me just outlining my words once again, just to make sure they're visible together with the rest of my title there that I stamped out. So before adhering those, I am going to go ahead and outline them with the black marker. And here I am going to seal in my glitter using some more of the liquid glass. Now liquid glass will dry with a little bit of a dimension, not very much, but it does have a little dimension once it dries, but it will dry clear. So even though it looks a little cloudy when I added it to those areas with the glitter, it will dry clear. So there I'm just sealing in my words. I add a layer of the matte medium gel on the top. And now I'm just going over my border once again just to make sure it's darkened up, because when I added in my white gesso before to fade out the background, I did get a little bit on my border. And this is where I went in with that marker and outlined and colored in all of those stamped words that I added before. Now there are some white spots peeking through, which is totally fine, and I'm going to go ahead and outline some of the stenciled images as well, just to bring in a little bit more blue and add a little more balance to the layout. So here I have a close-up look. You can see some of the sparkle where I used that glitter marker on those stamped out images, and you can see the glitter on the tiara and shoes. And I really love how this turned out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the process today. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Check out my other videos, and if you like what you see, I do hope you consider subscribing to my channel today. So I want to thank you all for watching, and until my next video, bye.